Hi, Rich Carrubba for bowlingball.com. I want to talk to you about Reno and the USBC Open Championship. In fact, we've been doing a three-part series called Tips for First-Time Bowlers at the USBC Open Championship, and this is part two. Part one talked about getting equipment ready. It talked a little bit about what to expect out there, what type of amenities the stadium has, the National Bowling Stadium. Talked about hotels, lockers, all kinds of things to kind of frame for you what to expect when you arrive in Reno. But what we want to do is talk about the 2010 oiling pattern, or the lane oiling pattern that was used at the Open Championship Tournament, because we honestly think that it's going to be very close to the same thing in 2011. Now, at the time of this video and the time we post the article, part two article, on our website at bowlingball.com, there is no information from USBC yet on what the 2011 pattern will be, because the tournament has not yet begun. However, soon there will be, and part three will address that matter. Okay, let's move right on. First of all, in 2010, Kegel Company was responsible for doing the lanes, and likely they're contracted again this year. And it's irrelevant what type of lane machine and lane cleaners and oils that they used. You can read about that on our website on the article. But what I want to do is talk to you about the pattern. The pattern was a 40-foot distant pattern. It was kind of like the white pattern. We have an article about red pattern, white pattern, and blue pattern for USBC conditions at Bowlversity section on the website. But the 2010 pattern was 40 feet distance, 25.5 mils of conditioner applied to each lane. So what that means is the lanes were kind of crowned or tapered very lightly. So from between the 15 board on both sides of the lane, you had a little bit more oil crowned, and then toward between 15 and 10 less, and then of course a little less at the edges, but oil all the way across the lane. The volume of oil in the center of the lane is not near as much oil as you would bowl on house conditions typically, which is generally referred to as the red pattern. Red patterns could have up to 60 units of oil in the middle of the lane, which kind of holds up all day and allows the ball from hooking too early, but not on the white pattern. In fact, there's only a 3.5 to 1 ratio between the center part of the lane, where there's the most oil, on the front part. The center portion of the center boards between 15 and 15 is 3.5 to 1 more oil than it is toward the edges. So it's not a real heavy blend, but it is a definite blend. And the better players and the higher scores come from those who can use a little wider angle from the release point down the lane to the break point on that particular pattern. The up the boards players have to be a little careful. You don't have enough oil to hold the ball, and the ball will hook high on you if you pull it slightly. And if you open, or if you happen to swing it wider, or release it to the outside edge of the lane of your target, if you're a right-handed bowler, you miss to the right slightly, it may not make the complete turn back as easy, because it requires more of an open angle or a wider angle from the release point to the break point, and then the ball will hook back. You also have to make sure you have your bowling ball surfaces prepared right, so they can react down the lane about 2/3 of the lane where the break point is, so you have time to hook back to the pocket. You can get good scores on the white pattern for the bowlers who know how to line up. And one other thing to remember, at the National Bowling Stadium, those lanes were installed in sections. All lanes have a little tilt tolerance, but if you go across the 80 lanes that were originally installed there, there's sections of the house that play differently. You'll get more back-end reaction in one section, or another section the ball might start rolling or hooking a little sooner. So you have to be on your feet to adjust just from the natural differences in the lanes as you move across, or you also have to be able to adjust to the white pattern, which requires a little more precise shot making, but still can yield some very good scores. Now, the good scores are evidenced by the fact that in the regular division, the scores were very high. And we have the final posted scores from 2010 on our article, so please check Bowlversity for that Open Championships Part 2 article and read those scores. Also, but in the classified division, where typically it's bowlers 180 and under bowl in that division, the scores were not nearly as high. So it's a little more difficult on bowlers who are used to playing around the second arrow, that don't really move around the lane much, don't have a lot of tournament experience, don't bring a lot of bowling balls or experiment with their bowling equipment as much as more experienced players do. And thus the big difference in the pace of scoring to win each of the divisions, the team event, the doubles, the singles, all events, and so on. So if you want to improve your performance and you're going to Reno this year, I'd get home, try to find a place to practice at home using the white pattern with a very light crown of oil on the lanes. Learn how to make adjustments moving across the lane. You can't just stay in a certain area of the lane. You may have to move 4, 5, 6 boards at the arrows left of the target you normally play, or even further right at some lanes than you normally play. So you want to be a little bit more adept and versatile at making adjustments. So get out and practice, work on that stuff, and I hope some of this information about what to expect at the Open Championship will help you be successful. Enjoy your visit there, and thank you.